Something strange is unfolding around us, though you won't hear anyone discussing it openly. The people who seem most alive, most awake to reality, most psychologically whole, they're stepping back from the noise and chaos. And I don't mean they're making angry scenes or grand pronouncements. They're simply slipping away, leaving behind the endless scroll of social media, walking away from careers that once defined them, ending relationships that no longer fit, choosing quiet over chaos, solitude over the exhausting performance of constant connection. This withdrawal was understood long ago by those who studied the human soul deeply. When a person grows so aware, so conscious of what's really happening beneath the surface of things, continuing to participate in the collective sleepwalking becomes genuinely painful. I mean, physical pain, not just emotional discomfort. Your body feels it. Your spirit recoils. What I'm going to share with you is why this pulling away isn't just something that happens to awakening souls. It's absolutely necessary. Why does awareness make ordinary life unbearable? Why does growing consciousness create such distance from what everyone else calls normal? And why is this not running away or hiding from responsibility, but actually the soul's way of protecting something precious when surrounded by people who are still asleep? If you felt this magnetic pull toward withdrawal, toward disappearing from the life everyone expects you to live, let me tell you something. You're not broken. You're not antisocial. You've simply become too conscious to keep fitting into containers designed for people who aren't paying attention. Here's what you need to understand about how our world actually functions. Society operates on a kind of collective sleep, shared illusions that nobody questions, projections we all agree to participate in, shadows we collectively refuse to acknowledge. These aren't accidents or glitches in how things work. This is the foundation. The whole structure depends on everyone staying asleep together. The moment someone truly wakes up, and I mean really wakes up, not just intellectually, but in their very bones, they become incompatible with the system. They can suddenly see the projections that everyone else is living inside of. They recognize the shadows that everyone is desperately avoiding. They understand the games being played beneath polite conversation, all happening unconsciously. And here's the thing about seeing. Once your eyes are open, you cannot close them again. I've watched this happen to real people. As their consciousness expanded and deepened, normal social interaction became almost impossible to bear. Not because they thought themselves better than others, but because they were awake, in a room full of people, talking in their sleep. Every conversation demanded they pretend not to see what they clearly saw, pretend not to know what they absolutely knew, pretend not to understand what was really happening beneath every word and gesture. This is what awareness costs you. You become psychologically alone, even when surrounded by bodies. You're speaking a language nobody else understands. You're seeing dimensions others can't perceive. You're operating from an entirely different reality. And the exhausting effort required to bridge that gap, to constantly translate between your consciousness and everyone else's sleep, eventually becomes too much. So awakened people start disappearing, not because they despise humanity, but because remaining requires them to betray their own consciousness. Every single day demands they pretend to be asleep. Every interaction requires them to dim their light. Every relationship asks them to become less than they've grown into. And eventually, something deep inside says enough. Step back, protect what you've gained. Stop letting the collective sleep drain away what you've worked so hard to develop. I've discovered something painful in my own journey. As you face and integrate your own darkness, your own capacity for self-deception and shadow, watching the collective shadow of an entire society becomes almost unbearable. You're witnessing millions of people projecting their darkness outward while denying it exists within themselves. When you've honestly faced your own capacity for evil, for selfishness, for cruelty, watching others project those same qualities onto scapegoats becomes agonizing. When you've made peace with your own darkness, seeing society's constant shadow projections, the other political party is evil, that group is the entire problem, those people are what's wrong with everything, feels like watching mass psychosis. Because that's precisely what it is. This is the burden of truly seeing. The awakened person sees that most social conflicts are just shadow projections on a massive scale. Wars are collective shadows colliding. Political divisions are mass projections. The endless outrage machine of social media is simply collective shadow material seeking targets, hunting for somewhere to land. Once you see this pattern, participating becomes impossible. You cannot join the mob when you understand they're hunting their own shadow. You cannot pick sides when you see both sides are projecting their unexamined darkness. You cannot engage in collective blame when you recognize it as collective unconsciousness acting out. So you step back, not from a sense of superiority, but from sheer psychological necessity. Your soul cannot do this anymore. Someone once described it to me perfectly. I used to have fierce political opinions. Then I faced my own shadow and saw that my opinions were mostly projections of my own unexamined material. Now, when I watch political debates, I see two groups of people violently projecting their unconscious darkness at each other while calling it justice or truth. I cannot participate anymore. It would be like joining a mass delusion. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. The awakened aren't just seeing the collective shadow, they're feeling it. When you become conscious, truly conscious, you become energetically sensitive. Being around unconscious shadow projection begins to feel like psychological violence. This isn't judgment or pride, it's genuine energetic incompatibility. I've noticed this in my own experience. After certain thresholds of inner work, being in crowds became nearly unbearable. Not because I dislike people. I love people, but because I could feel the unconscious material swirling around me. The projections, the repressions, the shadows, all creating a psychological storm that only I seem to notice. This is why awakened people abandon social media first. It's a 24-hour shadow projection machine. Every scroll assaults you with unconscious material. Every comment section is people boxing with their own shadows. For someone who's integrated their own shadow, it's like being forced to watch people punch themselves while blaming others for their bruises. Here's the second major insight. Once you've moved toward your authentic self, performing a false version of yourself becomes genuinely impossible. And society demands nothing but performance. Before awakening, you could play the social games unconsciously, smile when expected, say the acceptable things, perform your assigned role without even thinking about it. But once you've touched your authentic self, that deeper truth beyond all the masks, going back to performing feels like a kind of death. Every social situation demands performance. The workplace persona, the family role, the social media identity, the acceptable opinions, the appropriate emotions. For someone still identified with their masks, this feels perfectly normal. For someone who's found their true self, it feels like suffocation. I've seen this play out countless times. After confronting the deep unconscious, people simply cannot perform the expected roles anymore. They cannot pretend to agree with collective opinions they've seen through. They cannot maintain relationships that require them to be false. So they withdraw. They find places where they can be authentically themselves. This isn't antisocial behavior. It's pro-authenticity. The awakened person isn't rejecting society from anger, but from incompatibility. They've become too real for environments that require fakeness, too authentic for spaces demanding performance, too whole for containers that only accept fragments. A successful executive once described the impossibility to me. I sit in board meetings and everyone's performing their executive roles, saying what executives should say, thinking what executives should think. I cannot do it anymore. It's like being asked to pretend I'm someone I've never actually been. My authentic self has no voice in that room. Only my persona did, and I've killed it. She didn't dramatically quit with a manifesto. She quietly disappeared, transitioning out over months, eventually moving to a small town where she could be real rather than successful. Not from failure, but from the success of finally finding herself. This pattern is everywhere once you know to look for it. The awakened are walking away from careers that require persona performance, ending relationships built on false selves, abandoning social circles that demand masks. They're not failing at society. They're succeeding at authenticity. And that very success makes societal participation impossible. Here's what I've come to understand about energy. Maintaining consciousness in an unconscious environment requires tremendous psychological energy. And awakened people are realizing it's simply not sustainable. Think about what a conscious person must do in normal society. Constantly filter out unconscious projections being thrown at them. Maintain boundaries against energy vampires. Translate between depth and surface constantly. Hold their frequency while surrounded by static. Process not just their own material, but the unconscious material everyone else is leaking everywhere. This is invisible psychological labor. The unseen work conscious people do just to exist in unconscious spaces. It's exhausting beyond measure. Every interaction requires you to not react to projections, not absorb others' unconscious material, not get pulled into collective dramas, not match the unconscious frequency surrounding you, not betray your truth just to maintain false harmony. For unconscious people, this isn't work at all. They're simply flowing with the collective current, carried along effortlessly. For conscious people, it's like swimming upstream through a tsunami of unconsciousness. Eventually, you must get out of the water or drown. I've observed that highly conscious people often develop chronic fatigue, mysterious illnesses, unexplained depression. Not from personal pathology, but from the sheer exhaustion of maintaining consciousness in unconscious environments. The cure isn't therapy or medication. It's withdrawal from the environments draining them. A teacher I knew, someone who'd awakened through years of dedicated inner work, developed severe chronic fatigue. Medical tests revealed nothing wrong. Through deep reflection, she realized she was expending massive energy maintaining her consciousness while surrounded by unconscious colleagues and students all day, every day. She wasn't sick. She was energetically depleted. When she left teaching and moved to a cabin surrounded by nature, her energy returned within weeks, not from rest alone, but from no longer having to maintain consciousness against the constant pressure of collective unconsciousness pressing against her. This is why awakened people disappear to nature, to solitude, to small conscious communities. Not to escape responsibility, but to preserve the consciousness they've worked so hard to develop. They understand that consciousness is precious and finite. Spending it on unconscious interactions is like pouring water into sand. This withdrawal follows an archetypal pattern, the hermit phase that every individuating person must eventually enter. Not permanently, necessarily, but absolutely essentially. The soul requires solitude to integrate what society would fragment. The hermit isn't about hating people. It's about psychological necessity. When you're transforming at fundamental levels, you need space from influences that would pull you back to old patterns. You need silence to hear your inner voice. You need solitude to integrate new understanding without interference. Every deeply awakened person I know has gone through profound hermit phases. These aren't vacations or sabbaticals. They're psychological necessities. You need distance from collective consciousness to develop individual consciousness. You need separation from others' projections to understand your own depths. This is what's happening to awakening people right now. They're not disappearing because they're weak or antisocial. They're following a pattern that deep transformation requires. The hermit phase is when the shadow integrates without social pressure to repress it again. The authentic self emerges without persona, demands crushing it. Inner wisdom develops without outer noise drowning it. Psychological transformation completes without constant interruption. But here's what you must understand. The hermit phase isn't escape. It's preparation. The awakened person withdraws not to abandon society forever, but to develop something society desperately needs. They're gestating wisdom, integrating truth, becoming vessels for depths others cannot yet reach. A philosopher I knew disappeared from academic life for 3 years. Everyone assumed he'd had a breakdown. He'd actually had a breakthrough. In solitude, he integrated insights that would have been impossible while maintaining his academic persona. When he returned, he brought revolutionary ideas, but they could only emerge in withdrawal from the very system they would eventually transform. The hermit phase looks like disappearance from the outside, but it's actually deepening. The awakened person isn't running away. They're going deeper than society allows. They're doing the work that can only be done in solitude, developing consciousness that might eventually help the collective, but only after it's fully formed and stabilized. Here's the hope I want to offer you. The disappeared don't stay gone forever, but when they return differently. Not to participate in unconsciousness, but to offer consciousness to those ready to receive it. The awakened who disappear are following the ancient hero's journey. Withdrawal, transformation, return with gifts. But the return isn't to normal society. It's to the margins, the edges, the spaces where consciousness can exist without compromise. They become what I call border dwellers. Present, but not participating. Available, but not absorbed. They might return as artists creating from authentic depths. Healers working with individuals ready to awaken. Teachers sharing with small groups of genuine seekers. Writers offering maps for other disappearing souls. Guides for those beginning their own withdrawal, but they never return to the mainstream. They cannot. Once you've individuated, you cannot unindividuate. Once you become conscious, you cannot pretend unconsciousness convincingly. Once you've found yourself, you cannot live from persona. I've watched this pattern repeat endlessly. People who fully individuate rarely return to their previous lives. They create new ones, simpler, quieter, more authentic. They find ways to contribute without sacrificing consciousness. They learn to give without being consumed. A therapist I knew disappeared for 2 years. When she returned, it wasn't to traditional practice, but to working with a small group of individuals going through spiritual emergency. She couldn't do general therapy anymore, only work with those experiencing what she'd experienced. Her practice was tiny but profound. She became invisible to mainstream society, but a lifeline to those awakening. This is the emerging model. Awakened people disappearing from mass society, but reappearing in conscious pockets, creating parallel structures, building alternatives, offering depth to those seeking it while remaining invisible to those who aren't. I believe this is evolution in action. Not everyone awakens simultaneously. The pioneers disappear first, create new spaces, then become beacons for the next wave. What looks like abandonment is actually architecture, building the structures that will support collective awakening when it's ready. Let me bring all of this together for you. Why are spiritually awake people disappearing? They can no longer tolerate the collective shadow that unconscious society constantly projects. Their authentic self cannot perform the persona that society demands. The energy required to maintain consciousness in unconscious spaces becomes completely unsustainable. They enter the necessary hermit phase that genuine transformation requires. They eventually return, but only to conscious edges, never to unconscious centers. This disappearance isn't failure, it's evolution, not weakness, but wisdom. Not abandonment, but archetypal necessity. The awakened are following a pattern as old as consciousness itself. Withdraw, transform, return, transformed. Society experiences this as loss, abandonment, even betrayal. Where did all the conscious people go? Why are the wisest voices getting quieter? Why are the awakened abandoning the collective when we need them most? But they're not abandoning the collective. They're preparing something for it. In their withdrawal, they're developing what collective consciousness isn't ready for yet. In their disappearance, they're creating spaces for others to disappear into. In their silence, they're gestating words the collective cannot yet hear. If you're feeling the pull to disappear, I want you to know something. This isn't spiritual bypassing or escapism, it's psychological necessity. Your consciousness has developed to a point where participating in collective unconsciousness is no longer possible without betraying yourself. The withdrawal you're feeling isn't antisocial, it's archetypal. You're not abandoning society, you're following the hermit's path that every individuating person must walk. You're not weak for being unable to tolerate unconsciousness anymore. You're conscious, and consciousness requires different conditions than sleep. Let yourself disappear. Not forever, perhaps, but for now. Find your solitude, whether that's physical isolation or psychological distance. Stop expending your consciousness on unconscious interactions. Stop performing for audiences that cannot truly see you. Stop translating your depth into surface terms that betray it. Your disappearance isn't selfish. It's necessary. The collective needs people who've fully individuated far more than it needs people who only partially participate. It needs depth more than surface, authenticity more than performance, consciousness more than conformity. And when you return, if you return, you'll return with gifts that could only be developed in disappearance. You'll offer what couldn't be offered while maintaining false belonging. You'll speak truths that couldn't be spoken while performing acceptance. The spiritually awake are disappearing because that's what awakening requires. Not permanently, but necessarily. Not from hatred, but from love. Love of truth. Love of consciousness. Love of authenticity. Love that says, I must become whole, even if that means being alone for a season. I would say to you, disappear consciously. Withdraw with purpose. Use your hermit phase for integration, not mere isolation. And remember, your disappearance is preparing something. You're not leaving the collective behind. You're pioneering where it will eventually need to go. If you're disappearing or feeling this pull toward withdrawal, stay connected to resources that explore these insights for those walking this path of individuation. Seek out understanding of the hermit archetype and how to use withdrawal for transformation rather than escape. Remember this above all. Your disappearance isn't abandonment. It's evolution. And the collective needs evolved individuals far more than it needs conforming participants.